Hello, I hope that you're having a wonderful day. I thought I would share with you some of the books that I've been reading recently and also some of the things that I have been making. And I will obviously share all the books, and then of the things that I've been making, I will share the recipe links below in the caption. So first I will talk about my iced coffee. So in a previous video of what we eat in a day, I shared our cold brew recipe of how we put it in the fridge, and recently I was thinking how I do the hibiscus tea outside in the sun, and I was like, I'm sure I could do that with coffee and make cold brew from infusing in the sun. So I did the same amount that I would do for in the fridge. So I did a heaping cup of ground coffee in a half-gallon mason jar, and I sat it out in the sun for well, all day, and then I brought it in the house that evening, and then I just put it in the fridge overnight because we didn't drink it that day. And then the next day we tried it, and it was so smooth, it was delicious. So then I tried it again with a smaller amount, and I did the next size down jar. I'm not actually sure of the size, but one of those jars that are like not the regular size mason jar, but the one up from that. And I did that with a half of a cup of coffee, put that outside in the afternoon, probably around 3, and then left it out. And then that night was a full moon, so I was like, I'm just gonna leave it out overnight and the moon can infuse it. And then we tried it the next morning, and it was also really, really delicious. So I haven't tried it like a shorter amount of time, so I'm not sure how long it actually needs to be infused in the sun, but I think I like it better than the 2-day in the fridge process. That is what I am drinking this morning. I do organic Swiss water decaffeinated coffee. We get our decaf coffee because it's organic from a place called Fresh Roasted Coffee, and we buy it in 5-pound bags, and I think it ends up being, I only ever get it when they're on sale, and I think it's like $43 maybe. I think I'll share the books last. I want to share some of the things that I've been making because I think it's fun. So my new project that I've been working on is knitting again. So when we were in Illinois last fall with our friends Margot and Riley, Margot taught me how to knit, and I made a knitted headband that Scott wore the short winter that we were here. I had planned on knitting over the winter, but because we suddenly made the decision to go to South Africa, I didn't knit at all. And so recently I was like, you know, in the evenings I want to be doing something instead of looking at the screen or watching things. So I started knitting again. Well, I say knitting again. I never really learned. I learned to knit. I wasn't great at like keeping on going knitting. So I found this dishcloth recipe. It's called Grandma's Favorite Dishcloth. Okay, this doesn't look great, but it's my first one, and I know the mistakes that I made, so I am gonna make more. But this is how it turned out. It's hanging, it's pulled like this because I have it hanging in our bathroom this way, so I think it's stretched out. But I'm using this in our bathroom because our bathroom sink is old, and it just feels like it collects dirt on it, and like just always seems like it looks dirty. So I was like, if I have a dishcloth hanging in there, one, this is pretty, but then every morning I can wipe it down and keep it really nice and clean. And since I made this myself, it feels really nice and beautiful. So this was so easy to make, and I know it doesn't look great, but this is so practical. So I'm trying a new knitting pattern. I do want to keep doing that again and get really good at that, but I also found a new pattern that I'm knitting, and I'll share that one too. But this one is with smaller needles, so I'll show you this kit that I got. I got this at a yard sale maybe a month and a half ago, and it was $10, but it's this kit of all of these knitting needles, and I was so excited about it because knitting needles are expensive, and you can find like I found some, I think, yeah, this one I found at a thrift store after Margot had taught me how to knit. So I got these two at this thrift store and they were $1 each, but the amount that's in here is amazing, and she had some of each size. So this dishcloth that I made, I used size 9 needles of these white ones, and so this one you can tell is much smaller, so I'll be interested to see how different it looks. But yeah, I'm really excited about that, of getting back into knitting and learning and just keeping on trying, even though it doesn't look great at first. That's how you learn. So I've been knitting, I've also been canning. We went picking strawberries, like I said in our localism video, and we had so many strawberries that I wanted to do jam. I got Pomona's pectin from Azure Standard, and so then I made normal jam with honey, and then I made strawberry jam with sugar, and then I made Pomona's has a recipe for strawberry vanilla preserves. So you take your smaller strawberries and you don't mash them up, and then you put vanilla beans in and you cook it all together, and then before you can them, you take the vanilla beans back out, and it is so delicious. And then I did add sugar to that recipe as well, so I'll share those recipes as well, and I will share my Azure link if you want to get your Pomona's pectin from Azure, and if you haven't placed an order yet, you can use my link if you'd like. So that was so much fun to make. I can't remember how many jars, but I made a lot of jars, and then with the rest of my strawberries I went ahead and froze them so we have them for our smoothies. And then I've also been collecting and drying a lot of our herbs already. So we have our dandelion leaves, raspberry leaves, we have some chamomile flowers, calendula, a lot of basil that I've been picking, and all kinds of different herbs. So I've been going out trying to pick them as often as I can, and then I will bring them in the kitchen in my little basket and take my twine and tie a few stems together and then hang them on our clothes drying rack and put them in our hallway. Our hallway is pretty large and it stays relatively dark compared to the rest of the house, so I will leave that there for about 2 to 3 weeks until they're really dry, and then I'll store them in my jars. I did this last year and it all worked really well. I prefer to air dry my herbs over using the dehydrator for a few reasons. One, not using heat of any kind preserves the nutrients in the herbs, and two, I'm not gonna have to use electricity, and then you also don't have that noise in the background. I don't know why, but there's something about that dehydrator noise that I'm not a huge fan of. If you have wild raspberry bushes, this is the time of year to pick your leaves before they get all gross and nasty, because now they're beautiful and green and they don't have any disease on them. And last year I waited way too long, and by the time I had picked them, or had went to pick them, they just weren't very nice. And red raspberry leaf is so expensive, so if you can get it yourself, it's so good for you. And then of course we've been doing a lot of gardening. We will have a garden tour video coming up soon. It's been so fun to see how much it's expanded since last year. And now I want to share with you all of the books that I've been reading, or I've already read, or that I'm currently reading. If you watched my Homemaker's thrift haul video that I did, I got 2 books, well, 2 different types of books. So I got The Goodwill Man, and it's the story of the man who began Goodwill, and I finished reading this like soon after I got it, and it was so good. It was very inspiring. It also made me feel really sad as well, because he started this whole Goodwill thing like based off of his faith in the Lord and serving the Lord, and by the end of it, when he was dying, he said that Goodwill will mean nothing if it's not centered around Jesus Christ. If that's not its main mission, then the whole purpose and meaning behind Goodwill Industries will be gone. And right after that, I looked at Goodwill's website, because I was like, I don't think that they're really about Jesus anymore, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll look at their website, and there is nothing about faith or Jesus on their website. And I mean, you can even tell from going in their stores and all the things that you hear about all the money going up to the higher up people. So it's just really sad, because it's like, man, he created such a good thing and it kind of got exploited. And then the other books that I got was these Amish fiction books. So A Joyous Heart, oh wait, it's A Fruitful Vine, Winding Path, Joyous Heart, A Treasured Friendship by Carrie Bender, who I found out is from the Old Order Amish in Pennsylvania, and this is her pen name. And I am now on the 4th and final book, and I love these books. I cannot tell you how much I love them. So the way it goes is it's like her journal entries in like story form, and it goes through the years of her life from journal entries, and it is so fun, and I feel like I'm getting a glimpse into Amish lifestyle. I have flown through these have been so much fun to read. So if you are fascinated with the Amish, I recommend it, or if you have young girls, it is so easy to read, so I could see them liking this as well. And then I also have been going through the Summa Domestica. One of you guys mailed me these amazing set of 3 books, and I love it. So I'm halfway through this book. I'll read about 1 excerpt a day, and I so enjoy her style of writing and just how authentic she is and real. It's very inspiring. If you are a mom, if you're hoping to be a mom one day, I highly recommend this book. She is just so practical, and I feel like I'm learning things now in my daily life, and like things that will help me in the future. So I really recommend the Summa Domestica. Thank you again to the person who sent me these. I'm so grateful. And then the other book that I'm reading, which this title is hilarious. Scott laughs at this, but I'm really enjoying it. It's Corrie ten Boom, Don't Wrestle, Just Nestle. I have to show off my friend Tasha's bookmark that she sent me. So how beautiful is this bookmark? And it's from Her Chickens, which is amazing. She makes the most beautiful, intricate, unique bookmarks, jewelry. I will tag her Etsy page below, and if you're on Instagram, her page is My Forest Kitchen, and she is so inspiring. Her and her husband, the off-grid lifestyle that they have built is really, really beautiful. So the bookmark is from Tosh. It's what I'm using in my book, but this book is just so fun to read. She gives like theological tips, but then also like it's very much story based, which I prefer that style. I like reading stories and people's testimonies. So I am a third of the way through this, and then Scott and I are always reading a book together when we're in the car, and the book that we're reading together currently is Boundaries. This is probably our 4th time reading this together, but we always feel like we need to be reminded of these tips. So highly recommend Dr. Henry Cloud's Boundaries book. And then these 2 books are the ones that I got from the library sale, and I just think this one is so cool. It's the folk socks. So it's talking about like the history of socks and then how to knit them and all the different styles. So I'm definitely not at this level of knitting yet, but I hope to be. My friend Margot, who taught me how to knit, she's knitted socks for her husband, and she's very talented, and so I can't wait to show her this book. But it's just so fun, and it goes through all the different patterns, so that was fun. And then this book as well, Merchant and Mills sewing book. I'm still practicing and learning how to sew, so I thought this would be helpful. And it just goes through like from beginning to end of like tools to use, different type of stitches, how to sew a button, and then like how to read patterns. And I don't know, it's really well done, and it feels really nice. So I love that. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about my Bible reading in the morning. So last year I did the Bible reading challenge with Canon Plus or whatever. It was really good for me because I can avoid reading certain parts of the Bible because I don't find them interesting or I'm not inspired to. So it was really good for me to have that rigid list of this is what you're gonna read today, and it might not necessarily be something that I would choose to read. So I did most of it. I probably missed like 23 days. And so basically starting in August, you start that you are given a plan, and it's not like you're reading straight through it. The plan is like the person who makes it puts it in an order that makes sense and is helpful. So you'll read sometimes a piece of the Old Testament and a piece of the New Testament in the same day, and it was really helpful for me. So I did most of that, and then as we come into the summer, they start a new challenge called Same Page Summer, where you are now reading the whole New Testament and the Psalms together. And I'd started doing that, but in between the little break of the finishing up the Bible reading challenge and this new challenge that they were doing, because I wasn't on that reading schedule, I kind of created my own type of Bible reading. And I realized how much I miss sitting in the Word and not feeling rushed. And as much as I loved doing the Bible reading challenge and it forced me to read through the entire Old Testament and really understand it, I also feel like some days I was reading just to check the boxes, and I don't know how much I was actually getting out of it. And so I was like, man, I don't want reading the Bible to be just something that I just check off my list that I did it for the day and now I'm done. Like, this is God's word and it's alive and active, and I want it to be like a part of my life, and I don't want to just read something because I'm supposed to read it. And so during that little break, I was like, I really want to go through Romans, and I pulled out this Bible that I've had probably for 10 years. A friend gave it to me 10 years ago, and it's the New Testament in 26 translations, and I love this book. I go through phases with using it, but basically how it goes is, I'll show you a piece of it. So like Matthew 16, and in the bold is the King James Version, and then all of the translation, the not bold, is if there is a translation that is a little bit different than the King James Version, then it will give that. And so there's in total 26 different translations that this could refer from. It doesn't list all 26 translations from each verse. It only does the ones that could sound a little bit different from the King James Version. But this helped me so much. I was going through Romans and I was just slowly reading it, and I think there's something about reading the Bible and reading it a verse and then reading it in each different translation, because it makes you pause and think about what you're reading. And I think sometimes, like, if you've read Romans over and over your whole life, it can just kind of sound the same as you're reading it. And so to be able to separate the verse and really read the verse and read it again in a different way and read it again in a different way, it's like, this is so amazing. And like, the word is alive. This is exciting. So I went through Romans super slow. And then that's when the Bible reading challenge started with the New Testament. And so it started with John. And so I went to John and I was trying to read all of the scriptures that they had listed out for that day. And I realized, I was like, it's going to take me 4 hours to read all of those scriptures in the style that I am now enjoying of reading scripture, by just slowing down and really like studying it and thinking about it and writing it down in my journal and talking, like, what does this mean to me? Like, how does this apply to me? And so the way I've been reading since then, I've kind of just gotten off that Bible reading challenge because I started to feel this like tension of, okay, I need to do that because I like checking the boxes. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I am not putting this pressure on myself. I am loving reading my Bible in the morning. I look forward to it. I crave it. And I never totally felt that way when I was doing the challenge. I think I did it because I liked checking the boxes and I liked doing it, but now I have a hunger for it. So that's what I've been doing. I have been going through the book of John. I think I'll use the the challenge as a reference, like, okay, after I get done with John, what is the next book that they say to read? And I think that's how I'm going to use it. I just finished John this morning, and then I've also been going through the Psalms. So when I started the Bible reading challenge last year, I can't remember who, I think it might have been Rebecca Merkel's posted on Instagram about how she gets like a really cheap Bible for the Bible reading challenge and just like marks through it, writes in it, like really consumes the Bible. And so that's what I did last summer. I bought this Bible just to like go through it and really dive into it. And so that's what I've been doing now also. So I'm doing the however much I feel like reading of where I'm at with the 26 translations, and then I'm also reading Psalms every morning. And again, it's like however much I feel like reading. Like some Psalms are longer than others, so if it's a super long one, then maybe that's just what I read. But there's no like rigidity. That's how I've been enjoying reading my Bible. So I just went into a very long ramble about my Bible reading, but I hope that if that's something that you struggle with, then I highly recommend this. You can get this on eBay, thrift books. It is awesome. I love this book. And it's also old, so it just feels nice. So I recommend that. And then that's it. That is all of the reading that I've been doing. I have been using my journal that I've made. I made this journal extra thick for myself. So normally I do 6 signatures, and I think I did 11 in this. And I also just love the way it feels. This is one that I had the cover made for years, and so I finally just put it together, and yeah. So I hope that this video is fun for you to watch and encouraging, and next will either be our video about getting started buying bulk food stuff or our garden tour. So I look forward to seeing you then. God bless.